Thank you, Ms. Gentile. We were talking a minute ago about statements that you may have made during the three-way conversation with Mr. Crump and Ms. Fulton. I'd like to move to the actual recorded interview that was done over the telephone.
Yeah.
Was that the same day, later the same day?
March 19th.
Is that right?
Yes.
And where were you when it was when you were being interviewed?
A house.
Pardon me?
My house.
Your house, okay. Do you know where the other parties were?
No.
Would you describe for us how that interview took place?
On the phone.
Of course. Did they call you?
Yes.
And did you have a conversation prior to starting the recording about the kinds of questions you would be asked?
No.
Did you have a conversation about who was going to be present in the room?
Yes.
And what were you told about who would be present in the room?
The parents and the attorney.
And that's all?
Yeah.
Had you given consent at that point to having this interview recorded?
Yes.
And had you given consent to having any part of it broadcast or released to the public?
No.
Was the interview done for the purposes of releasing parts of it to the public?
No. I never knew there was public on the media.
You didn't know that the interview would be released or parts of it would be used in a press conference?
The situation, yes. The situation, I never knew they was on local media. I never knew they was on TV at all.
Did you know when you were giving your interview that parts of the recording that was made would be released to the public at a press conference?
No. No.
Were you told at different points in time during the interview to repeat things so that the person running the recorder could be sure to get them again or get them the way they wanted them?
Yes.
Pardon me?
Yes. I speak low.
So there were certain things in the interview that you were told to repeat so that the recording would be precise as to that issue?
Yes. Loud. Yes.
And you did?
Yeah. Yes.
And you were asked during the interview certain specific questions about what had happened that evening in Sanford on February 26th.
Yes.
Let me ask you this, sorry. Did you ever hear the press conference where certain parts of what you said were played?
The next day?
Whenever?
Next day, I got a text from my brother. I had said he heard my voice on television.
Could you make a special effort to speak up? We're having such a hard time hearing you.
The next day, my brother had texted me and said, "Do you know your voice was on television?"
I take it you didn't?
No.
So what did you learn about that?
I was not really paying focus on the tape. I was just shocked that my voice on television.
The next day your face was on TV?
No, my voice.
And do you believe that what was on TV was part of the recording of the interview the day before?
The television didn't show all the recording. They just but gave half. And I wasn't really paying attention of the how I started and all that. I was just worried about my voice.
So if I understand you, then there was a television broadcast that included parts of what you'd said the day before.
Yes.
But they didn't have any pictures of you.
No, because I had said I did not want my picture, my identity out to the public.
And did they say in that recording that you were the 16-year-old girlfriend of Trayvon Martin?
What interview?
In what was on
The
television?
recording between me
Right.
and Crump? No.
No, what I was talking about now was what was played
On
on
television?
TV. Right.
I
That you were
ain't-
identified as the 16-year-old girlfriend of Trayvon Martin.
No.
That you had been in a relationship for more than a year.
There was a person on the phone with him a moment before he died. A female was on the phone. A young lady, young girl was on the phone a moment before he died.
Did you ever see the press conference that Mr. Crump gave,
No.
where he played parts of what you said?
She stated she doesn't know, so asking a question that she doesn't know an answer to is object.
Overruled. You can answer the question.
Let me finish it first. Did you ever watch or see the press conference that Mr. Crump gave where he played parts of his interview with you?
No.
Has anyone who watched it told you about it?
Yes.
And did they tell you how you had been presented as a 16-year-old girl and the girlfriend of Trayvon Martin?
Yes.
And that wasn't true, was it?
No.
None of it was true.
It was seen.
You weren't 16 and you weren't his girlfriend.
No, it's seen because the text message.
I'm sorry?
The text message. It seemed like it because of my text message between me and Trayvon. It seemed like we were in a relationship, but we were not. And then the phone calls, all the phone calls, yeah, it seems, and stuff.
When you say text messages, are you referring to the texts between you and Trayvon Martin?
Yes.
I don't understand what you're saying. Sorry. Could you explain that a
It
bit?
didn't seem like a friend texting another friend. It seemed like a relationship between the person and I.
Are you saying that the text messages between you and Trayvon Martin
Yeah.
indicated that you were in a personal, intimate
Yeah.
relationship?
Yeah.
Did you give the text messages to anybody in the Martin family or Mr. Crump?
No.
Did you talk about that with them?
No.
You never told them that you were Trayvon Martin's girlfriend, did you?
I don't really remember. I just said stuff was going on. That's it.
Did you think that you were going to be?
No. Because there was another young lady that he was seeing.
You knew that?
Yeah.
So Trayvon Martin was in a relationship with another girl, another young lady,
Yeah.
and the relationship with you wasn't like that.
No.
So you just considered yourself like phone friends or pals?
Friends.
Uh-huh. But there were so many texts, weren't there? Hundreds and hundreds? In just a
Some of
two-week
the
period?
texts is not even me. Some of the texts are not even me texting him. My friend got my phone and we texted him several things.
It's like a three-way texting thing?
What?
I don't know
No,
what-
texting him from my phone and he thinking that's me. Did you see the text?
Yeah, so are you saying then that sometimes your friends would text Trayvon Martin using your phone and he would think it was
Yes,
from
when
you?
I'm busy doing something or driving, they would text for me.
Mhm. So a lot of the texts then are from other people?
Just 2, that's it.
Just 2?
Yeah, 2.
But you were there with them when they made them?
Yes, they was in my house, yes, in the car, yes.
But there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of texts.
Some are me. I'm not going to deny that some are me, some are not me.
I kind of got off track a little bit there because I was talking about the interview that you gave that was recorded.
Yes.
Have you ever listened to that interview?
No.
Never listened to
Well,
it
like
even once?
around when I met you,
Right.
yes.
Did you listen to it all the way through?
During our interview, between me and you.
Well, let's set the stage a bit. We met at a deposition in March of this year. And
March
then
15th,
yeah, thereabouts, sure.
March 15th, Wednesday, 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock something.
Right. And we didn't quite finish. Correct?
Yeah, we ended at around 6.
And then we met again the next month.
No, we met again that Friday. When you did not want to interview me that Friday,
I didn't want to interview you.
well,
We didn't have an interview, did we?
no.
We hadn't finished on Wednesday.
You
And then-
interviewed his brother.
Right. We were interviewing several people, and you knew that.
Yeah,
You were kind of,
but we agreed to that Friday.
and then we had
You
a schedule.
said, this is what you said. Well, not you, but your partner had said, oh, between Trayvon brother and me, it'll be better if you interview his brother before me. We'll do it next time. Not you, but him.
Because of scheduling.
No, he took 4 hours. In my interview, the third interview took 4 hours. I could have did my 4 hours.
I'm sorry that you were inconvenienced, but we did not have the interview on Friday because of scheduling issues. Do you agree with that?
You should have picked me up on Thursday.
Sure. We then were able to meet again the next month.
April 30th.
Okay, good enough. So what I'm trying to get at now is that you said you had in fact listened to your interview with Mr. Crump when we first met. Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
And was that during the deposition itself or before?
the day of the interview between.
But before you and I spoke?
No, the same day.
You hadn't ever listened to your interview before that day?
Not the whole interview, no.
In the interview, there was a discussion of this. The interview, what I mean, is the interview that Mr. Crump did of you on the phone that was recorded on or about March 19th.
Yeah.
Okay. And in that interview, you were describing for him what it was that Trayvon Martin said to the man. And you said,
He did not say describe. He said he just asked what happened that night.
right, and in response to that, you said that Trayvon Martin said to the man, "Why you following me?" And the man's response was, "What are you talking about?"
I did not say that. I don't recall I said that.
And then you changed it. And then you said,
Crump
"What are you
interview,
talking about?"
I can explain Crump interview.
Okay.
Crump interview, I really did not want to do the interview with Crump. So I hurry up on Crump interview because I really did not want to be on the phone talking about a situation, deadly situation. I don't talk about death. So
You didn't.
Crump interview, I rushed it out. I had told you when we met, I had rushed, and I had told the state I rushed on Crump interview. Crump interview is nothing. Crump interview don't mean nothing to me.
You didn't take it seriously?
Nope.
If you weren't going to take it seriously, why didn't you just refuse to do it?
I'm already there on the phone.
But you're at home, right?
In the closet. You think I wanted to be in the closet that long?
My question is, if you didn't want to do the interview, why didn't you just say no? I'll talk to the police instead.
No, it was already there, and I had agreed to the interview, so why am I say no? It's already too late.
So at that point, you felt you were committed to it,
Yes,
so you had to go through with it,
yes,
but you weren't taking it seriously.
I'm rushing on that.
You weren't even paying particular attention to what you were saying?
I was.
Okay, so when you were telling Mr. Crump that Trayvon Martin said, "Why are you following me?" the first response that you gave to Mr. Crump that is attributed to the other man, George Zimmerman, is, "What are you talking about?" And then you changed it and said,
Objection, improper impeachment.
Sustained.
a moment for the proper impeachment.
Let me mark this, please.
Sure.
This is a CD of the portion of the interview that we're referring to now.
The market is double B.
Sure.
Trish, is that what it is? Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
No, this is, just to set the stage, this is the part of the interview that we obtained through ABC News, not from Mr. Crump. So that's the specific aspect of this that we're referring to.
Okay, and
Your Honor, may we approach the bench regarding this issue?
yes, you may.
During the three-way conversation with Mr. Crump and Ms. Fulton, I'd like to move to the actual recorded interview that was done over the telephone.
Yeah,
Was that the same day, later the same day?
March 19th.
Is that right?
Yes,
And where were you when it was when you were being interviewed?
a house,
Pardon me?
my house.
Your house, okay. Do you know where the other parties were?
No,
Would you describe for us how that interview took place?
on the phone.
Of course. Did they call you?
Yes,
And did you have a conversation prior to starting the recording about the kinds of questions you would be asked?
no,
Did you have a conversation about who was going to be present in the room?
yes.
And what were you told about who would be present in the room?
The parents and the attorney.
And that's all?
Yeah,
Had you given Thank you, Ms. Gentile. We were talking a minute ago about statements that you may have made during